Hello and welcome to the Charleston Library Society. My name's James Davis and I'm the bookbinder and conservator here. Today we're going to learn how to make what's called a pamphlet binding. It's a little simple style of bookbinding that anybody can do at home. Our first step is that we're going to talk about what kind of materials we need. I've gathered some things that should be available to everyone. I've got a stack of computer paper. I've got 8 sheets piled together for this project, and that's going to form the pages of our book. Next, I've got this sprite box, which I've cut down to just even folding pages that are about the size of our paper folded long ways. It's a little bit bigger, and that's okay. So any sort of stiff kind of box material will do. I like the soda cans because it's a little bit thinner than a regular cardboard box. So that's going to be the materials we need to make our book. Some tools we need are, I've got some sewing thread here. Any thread that you use to sew a button or mend your clothes will do. If you have anything thicker, that's what I have here. This is a bookbinding thread, so the thicker the better. But either way, we're going to double up the thread so that it'll be strong enough. You'll also need a sewing needle. I've got a larger one that's used for embroidery here, but any sewing needle will work just fine. A pencil for making marks, and a pair of good sharp scissors. I've got these that I really like because they have a sharp end. However, if you've got a pair of rounded safety scissors, that can also work very well. So, at this point, you can pause and gather your materials and come back when you've got everything together. So, our first step is we're going to gather our pages, and we're going to push them so that they're evenly stacked. And we're going to fold them twice. We're going to fold them first hot dog style, unfold it, and then fold it hamburger style. So, first thing, hot dog, fold it long ways. You want to line up the corners and make the fold as even as you can. And use the palm of your hand to really work that fold down. You can use your thumb as well. And just get a very good crisp fold along there. So you've got your fold long ways. Now we're going to unfold it. We're going to fold it again short ways, hamburger style. And same thing, you want a nice, crisp, clean fold. Use your thumb, make everything as even as you can. Now, we're going to have enough materials to make 2 different books. So, in order to accomplish that, we're going to take each page and we're going to cut along our hamburger fold, so along the short fold this way. We're going to cut each page just like that, as straight and evenly as we possibly can, following that folded line. Now, we don't need it absolutely perfect because we're just making a fun book here, but do try to make it as straight as you can. So you'll end up with 2 pages that can come together. Now, we're going to want a total of 8 of these pages. So we've got 2 here. Each page will make 2. So we only need to cut 4 of these pages to make a total of 8. We're going to cut straight down our fold for each page. As straight as we can. Now as I'm going, I'm nesting the pages inside of each other, and I'll do the same for my other section. So now I've got 4 sheets nested inside of each other, and I need to do 2 more. For the sake of time, and now that we really know what we're doing, I'm going to take 2 at the same time, I'm going to cut them together. You can do this with several sheets, but the more you add, the more difficult it'll be. And when you do your next book, you can try and experiment and see how many you can do together while still easily making the cut. I'm going to nest them together. I'm going to take my other 4 sheets and I'm going to fold them all so that we have a section of our book that's piled on top of each other and folded together, just like that. I'm going to use my palm and really make sure that my fold is nice and crisp. So I've got pretty much what looks like a book here. I'm going to take my extra sheets and put them aside. They'll be useful for the next book that you make on your own. Now, I'm going to take my cardboard cover. I'm going to place the book in the center, right there, along the fold. This one had a natural fold. You may have had to fold yours depending on what type of cardboard you used. I'm going to make a mark on my paper. I'm going to mark near the top, about that far down. You see one mark there. I'm going to do the same thing in the center on my paper. This is along the folded edge. And I'm going to do one more near the bottom. So I've got 3 marks, one near the top, one near the bottom, and one in the center. I'm going to place that into the fold of my cover, and I'm going to make a mark in the same spots. Just like that. Now, what I need to do is I need to cut little triangles through each of the pages. So I've got my folded section, and I'm going to make the smallest little triangle cut through them. I'm using the back of the scissors so I can get the most force down on it as I can, and I'm going to pull it out. So you've got a little triangular cut there. And I'm going to do that for each marked area of my book. And this is where, once we get to the sewing, this is where our needle is going to go through our paper. So we want to make sure we cut all the way through each and every section. We're going to do that 3 times. Being very careful with sharp scissors. Keeping our fingers out of the way. So we end up with 3 triangular cuts along the folded edge of our paper. We're going to do the same thing. We've got our marks here on our cardboard. We're going to fold this so that the inside, not the outside decorative area that we want to be our outside cover, but on the inside, we're going to make the same cuts. Very small triangles, pull out any extra bits that are in between. Cut all the way through. And that's going to give us space for our needle to go through once we get to the next section. Here you can see we've got 3 holes, and they should line up very well with the holes that we cut in our paper. Now, what we want to do next is we want to make a mark along our cardboard with our paper, and we're going to cut this board so that it'll be the size we need for the cover. So I'm just making a line that's this height of our paper. It can be a little bit bigger, but not too much. And we're going to cut along that line. Straight as we can. We're going to take our paper, we're going to place it so that the holes line up. I'm just moving to the center. Now we've got the makings of our little book. So, this step, we're going to take our sewing needle and our sewing thread, and we're going to put the thread through the eye of the needle. I like to run it through my teeth and flatten the end. Then I hold the needle up. It helps to hold it up against a light colored surface so you can see more clearly. Push it through, and you will bring your thread all the way down so it's even with the bottom. Pull it tight, make it even, and you can tie it off in a regular square knot so you've got both threads that you're tying off together. Push it through, and you tie this end so that everything stays together and you've got double thickness of what you would normally have. Now, put that aside. You want to take your pages and you want to make sure you open them up to the very center of all those folds. You want to line it up so that the holes are together. You can hold it up to the light and make sure you can see through it. You take your needle, you start on the inside of your book, and you want to push it through all those holes. So you've got your needle coming out from the inside, pull it through, all the way up until that knot that you made. And you want to use your thumb to hold it in place. So you pull that through. Now you want to come from the back through the holes that you made. They may not line up exactly, and you may have to move some things around to make sure that you get it through every single piece. And your needle's going to come through. You're going to keep everything flat, and you're going to pull it through. So on the outside, you see your thread coming up like that. On the inside, you see your tail that you're holding with your thumb, and you see your thread here. Now, you're going to hold everything in place, and you're going to bring the thread across and back down through this bottom hole. You want it to come out of the cover. So through the bottom hole, out the cover. Pull it tight while using your thumb to make sure that that center thread that you started with doesn't come loose. Now, the knot that you tied on the bottom should help you. Now, for the last part that we're going to do before we have a finished book, we're going to come back through the center hole. And we've got a thread here, and we've got our tail on one side, and we want to bring our needle on the opposite side of that center thread than where the original tail was. I know it's probably difficult to see, but we've got a thread going down here. We've got our tail off to the right side. It's okay if it's on the left side. You just want to bring your needle on the opposite side of where that original tail was. And you want to pull it through and make everything really tight. Not so tight that you tear your book, but tight so that your sewing will hold everything in place. So now we have 2 tails, and we just want to tie that off so that when you pull your knot tight, it comes down over top that center thread and just keeps everything together. So we tie that off. It can be kind of difficult depending on how much thread you left yourself, but if you keep at it, you can get it. Pull it through, pull it tight. Now, we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to snip those tails off. We don't want to cut through our knot, but we don't want a really long tail in the middle of our book. Now, what you've made is a little pamphlet binding with our soda can cover and our inside book, where we can write down things that happened in our day or stories that we come up with or anything we like. So now it's your turn. You can try it all on your own. You can use your extra pages and your extra cardboard, do the same thing we just did, and make as many books as you like. Thank you very much. Have a great day.